Walked in on my fiance cheating 2 months before our wedding. Let me start off by saying that I don't even know what I'm looking for in this post. I just figured it was a good place to lay out the full story and get it off of my chest. My fiance, 22F, and I, 25 meters, have been together for nearly 6 years. She was my first love, first kiss, first everything. We have grown so much together through these last 6 years that, although things have been rocky as of late, I truly believe she was who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I couldn't, still can't, even fathom somebody else being in my life. But she has left me no choice. 3 weeks ago, we had our wedding shower. It was anxious, stressful, etc., but we really did have a great time and appreciated all of the family and friends that came to show support. It was our first event leading up to the May wedding and made things feel much more like a reality. This was on a Saturday. That night, she was hanging out with her friend, 19 meters. This guy was the younger brother of my best friend, so, although some people are very skeptical about their partner having friends of the opposite sex, I justified it. The guy was super quiet, shy and socially awkward, and she helped him out of that shell as my fiancé was a social butterfly. I never imagined what I ended up finding. At 10:30 a.m. the next morning, I walked outside to my shop to find her cheating on me with him. This is not the first time she has done this with another guy. However, the first time, she came directly to me in a ball of tears and told me everything. This was roughly 4 years ago. We worked through it and things were much better afterwards. However, in this situation, I can't help but to believe that this has been going on for a while. She claims I had walked in on the first time, but they've been spending much more time together lately and I've tried to look past it as I always thought they were just best friends. Fast forward 3 weeks to today. She's moving the last of her things out of my house this week and taking 2 of our 4 dogs with her. My house is a wreck as she's taken all of our living room furniture, our bedroom TV, dining room table, etc. Granted, she paid for some of it prior to us moving in together and some was given to us by her godmother. However, she is taking every possible thing that she's justified in taking. She has finally admitted to me that her and this guy friend have serious feelings for each other. They have been intimate since I caught them the first time and I know that they're still seeing each other every day. She seems to show no remorse for what she did and seems to be much happier living in this fun little fling with this guy who has no job, no education and lives with his mother. I gave her everything she could possibly need. I took care of her, even taking on a parental type role which I think had slowly deteriorated our love and affection. However, I still love and care so deeply for her. She is diagnosed severe bipolar and struggles heavily with depression and anxiety. I have done my best to help her mental state in the last 6 years that I believe it has negatively affected my own. But that was just one of the sacrifices I made because I loved her so deeply. I am okay with living without her. I am okay with not being in a relationship with her. What I am struggling so mightily with is the fact that, 3 weeks after our wedding shower and after I caught her cheating, she has moved on and is already getting intimate with this other guy. I don't know if this has to do with her bipolar disorder and her history of self-sabotage or if she is simply much more happy with this guy than she ever was with me. Either way, she has absolutely broken me and I don't know how to continue. I am an introvert and I struggle meeting new people, especially women. She cheated on me and has already moved out and enjoying her life with another guy like nothing ever happened, while I am left in an empty, quiet house, alone with nothing on the horizon to escape me from this deep loneliness I'm feeling. Again, I don't know what I'm looking for in this post. I just needed a place to write out my feelings. I know it's a long post and I probably could have made it much, much longer. Thank you to any of you who might have made it this far and any kind words, advice, etc. would be greatly appreciated. Edit. Initially, she said that it was a drunken mistake, it's never happened before, she knows she effed up, etc. The days following, she tried to convince me that we didn't have to cancel the wedding and that she would never speak to him again. She said that I'm who she wanted to be with and that she did this because I wasn't giving her the words of affirmation and affection she desired. Once I told her that we had to split and I wanted her out of the house, her whole tone changed. Then it became now that I've had time away from this house, I realized this isn't what I want and I've been a coward by not telling you I've not wanted to be with you for a while. Honestly, is painful I found out. As these 3 weeks have progressed, she's gotten much less sympathetic and kind towards me. She seemed to regret it at first, but that regret and guilt that she felt the first day has completely seemed to dwindle away. Story 2. Cheated on and dumped after relationship of 12 years. Both 28. My ex, 28F, and I, 28M, had been together since we were 16. We had our whole life planned together and out of the blue she decided to throw it all away. We were gonna travel the world together because of her work, which required her moving from one poor country to another every 4 years. I was committed to follow her everywhere, although I wasn't sure I would find a job. I'm an engineer. We were happy and life was really good. I truly loved her and so did she. We had our discussions but never a big crisis or anything. When she was studying a couple years ago to get this job, I supported her financially for over 3 years. Back in November she had an opportunity to go to Vietnam for 2.5 months and she took it because she wanted to get some experience before moving for good next year. We talked as usual when she was there and she kept telling me she loved me and that I was the love of her life and that she missed me. Fast forward to the end of January, I went to visit because her work had finished and she had to come back to our country, and we had a 2-week holiday that we had planned while she was there to visit the country together. First day I got there I noticed she wasn't as loving and affectionate as before, but I didn't want to ask. After a week she told me her feelings had changed and that this past year we had a lot of arguments and she was unhappy sometimes. That she enjoyed this alone time and wasn't sure that she wanted to keep the relationship, that she needed time to think back at home. I changed my flights and she came back after 3 days. We shared our flat, so she came home and spent 4 days with me, sleeping in the same bed and giving each other hugs and kisses. She then rented an apartment for herself and proceeded to move after 5 days while telling me she needed this time for herself to think and that she couldn't tell me nor yes or no. This was about a month ago. 2 weeks ago I found out that 2 weeks in Vietnam, back in November, she started seeing a guy from our country, and this whole time they lived the same life she was living with me. Going out to dinner, watching movies at home, grocery shopping, everything. I confronted her about it and she denied everything with such a cold face that I couldn't believe. I couldn't show proof, otherwise I might face bigger problems. She was another person. She hasn't told anyone at all, so no one knows. I guess her plan is to try and see if this guy that worked at a hotel could move with her in our country, and if not, coming back to me. They are making plans for summer and things to do in our city already. I just can't believe how someone can throw everything away in such a short amount of time after a life together and still deny everything and explain to me what made her decide such a thing. How can you stop loving someone so easily and move on after all the good memories and time spent together? I really would like to read some personal experiences from my fellow Redditors, as how can someone do something like this and be happy with themselves, because I'm devastated and feeling I lost a part of me, and how come I can still be deeply in love with her after how she has treated me. Thank you for reading me out. Edit, I'd like her to see she made a mistake and that what she is feeling now is not true love. I know I shouldn't care and that she shouldn't have done something like this, but I do. His AP is away and probably won't see each other for a few months. We are not talking to each other and we are both living alone. Should I send her an article about a fair fog and see if she identifies herself with it? I'd like her to read this article and realize if the AP knew about me and still cheated, what would make him not cheat in the future? That she has destroyed the good life we had. Story 3. Caught my 20 female wife cheating on me, 24 male, a couple weeks, shows little to no remorse and keeps phone away. My wife and I have been together for 2 years, married for a year this October. 2 weeks ago I caught her cheating on me. I had caught her texting other guys previously but forgave her and moved on. Since catching her, she's shown little to no remorse, and guards her phone and texts even though she claims she's no longer talking to anyone. In all honesty, a week after I caught her physically cheating on me, I caught her texting some other guy. I've done everything I can to try and reason with her, get her perspective, why, how she could do what she's doing to me, but it never goes anywhere. While this situation might sound cut and dry, I still love and care for her dearly. She doesn't have a support system outside of myself and my family. No one. She was living with her mom before we moved in with each other, only 3 months after we met. She was emotionally and physically abusive towards my wife and had kicked her out before she came to live with me. Her stepfather, who does not live with her mother, is unable to support her or even take her in even if she was to pay him rent. He's currently raising her brother and sister, HSH'd. Her mother is basically a textbook welfare queen and loves and leaves men with her children. I more or less forced her to end pretty much all her toxic relationships. And because of that I feel guilty for dismantling what little of a support system she actually had. And that leaves me here. I love and care for someone who has no respect for out marriage. I'll be honest, it's not all her. Slacked in our relationship. I'm not perfect, but I've never cheated, abused, or hurt her. She's gotten her driver's license, a car, a stable job with regular hours she actually enjoys, stable and healthy relationships with me and my family. I am happy she is better off than she was. But I know if I just ended and we split, she would throw all that away. I've threatened divorce more times than I can count, which I know is probably the worst thing I could do. She then either physically lashes out towards me or threatens suicide. I'm tired of fighting with her. I love her and just don't want her to do what she's doing. I want to be with her, I want her to be happy and healthy. She claims to still love me, be with me. but then continues to text other guys while barely attempting to hide? Part of me wishes the guy I caught her with was rich and could provide her a stable, loving environment. I know that someone would and could take advantage of her. I thought maybe she's bipolar. I know I showed signs of borderline personality disorder and depression around 19, 20, I was mentally and emotionally unstable. I'm just trying to think of things that might explain her behavior. Maybe she just needs a good therapist? We're living with my parents, we were planning on moving out on our own this December. My mother found out about it all and basically said I'm free to stay but she needs to go. I can't just divorce her and kick her out. Update: in between taking time to read most of these comments, I've already sat down with her and a third party and discussed our pending divorce. I've had the paperwork, just never confronted her with it. The third party was a close friend. She remained seemingly calm throughout it all, and everything is more or less set in motion. The third party was necessary to keep her from lashing out and even more so for me to actually follow through. There's not much in terms of assets and no children, and we've agreed to go the uncontested route with no lawyers. To answer and/or address a few comments: no, we're not Mormon, and yes, obvious mistakes were made, marriage after a year being the most obvious. I can't really argue or defend myself when it comes to the doormat analogies, as they're all pretty much spot on. Objectively, I saw it coming, red flags and all. Even now I realize I sound like a jackass asking for advice on how I should handle this situation that is pretty much cut and dry. I don't know what I was hoping to achieve by posting here. I don't know. I've had friends in the past I've lost to poor decisions they've made, and it's SHT to see someone crash and burn. The difference being I married that person, that being my personal poor decision. I knew this was going to happen and am as responsible as she is for putting up with it. I'm not comfortable with term white knight, I'd much rather prefer to call the Doomba S. It's like you know what to do, what makes sense, what's right, but you make excuses and roll with it thinking things will just fix themselves. In the same way she can't explain why she cheated, I can't really explain why I want her to be okay after this is all said and done. I'm usually vengeful when it comes to people crossing me, but even now I don't really harbor any type of hate towards her. I don't know. Thanks for the advice.